Hello all, and welcome to another midnight disheveled post-work beer review. I'm gonna dub this review I don't know review. I don't know. I just don't know because I can't think of a title. I usually have a title comes up. If it doesn't come up, I say I don't know. Okay. What are we going to be reviewing tonight? Well, I saw this on the shelf and it was a little bit expensive, but I thought, well, I need to start going and reviewing more bombers because I'm finding with the six-packs, I'm usually kind of tired with it halfway through. With a bomber, it's, you got one shot, so let's hope the video doesn't go off. So, this is from Breakside Brewery. Not really sure where they're from. I might have reviewed some other stuff from them before. I didn't look it up. Limited edition, Bellwether. There's a chair and an ottoman there. Sour double wit, aged in gin barrels with lime leaves. So sour, a wit beer, so Belgian style wit beer, gin barrels with lime leaves. Let's read the label, shall we? Bellwether is one of our most peculiar and delicious barrel-aged concoctions. This beer harkens back to the days when our barrel aging program only had a few barrels in it, and we employed Solera-style blending to create new beers. One of those beers was a double wit in a single second-use gin barrel that had been previously been home to a blended sour wheat beer. Fast forward to today, and we've been able to bring back this recipe by blending two different beers in our new brewery. A double wit aged in Old Tom gin barrels, and a sour wheat made with lime for complex herbal notes. The resulting beer is delicious, and we are proud to be able to share it now with a much larger audience. Excuse me. One interesting thing is they didn't put the ABV on this, so I had to look it up, and it is a 8.4. Some other reviews have said that it is a wild sour. It doesn't say so on the bottle. So it's definitely priced. It's almost $15 for this bomber, so it's priced almost like a wild ale. But I would figure if it was wild ale, they would say so there. So it's a mishmash of styles, barrel-aged, wit beer, double, and sour. So, I'm going to be doing this in the Belgian glass. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. Giving it a fairly light pour, because I want the space for smells to kind of congregate there. Coloration is cloudy, yet fizzy. Sort of bright yellow cloudiness, touch of orange, with a thin, frothy head. Definitely get that wheat funk. Gin barrel. Lime leaves. Juniper, obviously. I'm going to go and pour a little bit more. Want a bit more head there. Give it a somewhat vigorous one, straight from. There we go. There, got about a finger's worth now. Almost mint-like notes to it. And there's some underlying tartness there. It's definitely funky. It comes between the sour and the wheat. It could, I'm enjoying the smell, but some people could find it kind of off. It depends on your tolerance for extreme odors. I could see some people saying it's a little too perfumey. It smells like a urinal cake. You know, it doesn't actually smell like a urinal cake. It actually smells nice, but some people might say that. Honestly, a nice complex nose. It's just really pushing those limits there because there's so many different things going on. Mint and lime, juniper. Let's go and see how it tastes now. A lot going on the palate there too. First off, it's just mildly tart. It's actually, if you're looking for something like a goza or something else that's really biting tart, it's not. It's just a mild tartness, a mild acidity there. But there's a lot of tastes that kind of rise up and, you know, dissipate very quickly. The mid towards the finish, strong note of gin. Nicely botanical gin. Rises, then falls, lingers a little bit, but the long-lasting finish is of funky wheat, slight citrus acid, acidic tang there, and residual sweetness. The main note in the lasting finish is, of course, that wheat funk. Interestingly, the lime leaves pop up mildly in the very front, very quickly receding, and then kind of explode again as the gin is sort of there, underneath the gin. The lime is sort of meld with that citrus, you know, that citrus tart, that sour tartness there. If I was going to say what the backbone of this beer would be, it is the Witbier. But the Witbier is kind of a very neutral, almost a neutral palate, except into the very end, where it's one of the lasting taste notes. You know, it's in all these other really bright, explosive flavor notes are kind of painted on that rather, you know, muted palate. And I'm going to say muted with the sort of caveat here that, you know, you don't usually think Witbier as something that's got a muted flavor. You think of it as having this sort of slightly Belgian, weedy, yeasty funkiness there. But here, you know, you got that gin, you got those botanicals, you got that sourness that are all kind of having an interplay above it, you know, and they're much more powerful and strong. It's also fairly thick on the palate, textural-wise. Some reviews have called this boozy, but to tell the truth, I'm finding, well, yeah, there is booziness, but that's the gin there. Gin is going to have that kind of boozy flavor to it. And it's not like we overbrewed this beer. You know, we were aiming for high ABV, and ABV kind of took over everything else. No, it's more, I think it's more an artifact of the barrel aging there. You know, it's not so, it doesn't clench down on you. It doesn't get in the way. It plays along well. What I'm saying is it plays along well with the rest of this beer. As it warms up, the botanicals in the gin is really starting to float up from the nose. It's one of those beers that is very nice to breathe in as you sip. I'm liking this beer. I'm really liking this beer. It's a very experimental beer. And I could see people either loving or hating it with very little middle ground there. And, you know, I'm actually kind of I'm liking and very much liking this. I'm not going to say I love it. It's not something I was like, oh my god, I'm going to have to go and get another bomber of this. But I am definitely liking this. It is a successful experiment to me. Other people, I can definitely see just being kind of put off by all these weird combinations of smells and flavors. But for me, it kind of all comes together, and it all melts together to create a nicely complex beer. I have to say, you know, with that sourness, the lime, and the gin, it almost comes across as like if somebody was trying to brew a gin and tonic. Warms up the nose, is getting a lot of that gin there. And thank goodness it's a nice gin, it's a good gin. So, limited edition Bellwether. Sour double wit, aged in gin barrels with lime leaves. Well, it definitely has all those elements together, and they're all fairly quality elements. Interestingly, you know, all these contrasting elements play together nicely, for me at least, coming together to create a really complex, really exciting experimental beer. And if I remember correctly, I do believe I have reviewed Breakside's other beers. They kind of like to go and experiment a little bit. And I have to say this is a pretty successful experiment for me, and you know, really enjoyed it, and I'm definitely going to be looking for other bombers from this brewery. Well, folks, there it is, your Bellwether beer review for the night. Oh my goodness, I'm horrible with puns. Cheers.